Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among rolling hills, there lived a young girl named Anya. Anya was a curious and adventurous girl, and she loved to cook. She would spend hours in the kitchen with her grandmother, learning the secrets of traditional recipes and creating new dishes of her own. One day, Anya decided to enter a cooking competition in the neighboring town. She had been working on a special recipe for weeks, and she was confident that she could win. On the day of the competition, Anya arrived early and set up her station. She carefully measured out her ingredients and arranged them in neat rows. When the competition began, Anya calmly and efficiently began to cook. She moved with grace and precision, her hands deftly chopping vegetables and stirring sauces. The judges were impressed with her skill and confidence. When Anya's dish was complete, she presented it to the judges with a flourish. It was a simple dish, but it was beautifully presented and perfectly cooked. The judges took a bite and were immediately impressed. The flavors were balanced and complex, and the dish was cooked to perfection. Anya's dish was declared the winner of the competition. She was overjoyed, and her grandmother was so proud of her. Anya's victory made her a local celebrity, and people from all over the village came to her grandmother's restaurant to taste her delicious food. Anya continued to cook and experiment with new recipes. She eventually opened her own restaurant, where she served her signature dishes to people from all over the world. Anya's restaurant was a success, and she became known as one of the best chefs in the region. One day, Anya received a letter from the king's royal chef. He had heard about her culinary skills and invited her to come to the castle to cook for the king and queen. Anya was honored and excited. She immediately packed her bags and set off for the castle. When Anya arrived at the castle, she was greeted by the royal chef. He led her to the kitchen, where she was amazed to see all the fresh ingredients and state-of-the-art equipment. Anya spent the next few days preparing a special meal for the king and queen. She cooked with passion and creativity, determined to create a meal that would be both delicious and memorable. On the night of the feast, Anya presented her dishes to the king and queen with a bow. The king and queen were impressed with the presentation and the variety of dishes. They took a bite and were immediately delighted. The flavors were exquisite, and the dishes were cooked to perfection. The king and queen were so pleased with Anya's cooking that they offered her the position of royal chef. Anya was overjoyed. She accepted the position and went on to cook for the king and queen for many years. Anya's story is a testament to the power of passion and creativity. She followed her dreams and became one of the best chefs in the kingdom. Her story also shows that cooking is more than just a skill. It is an art form that can bring joy to people from all walks of life. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the foothills of the Andes Mountains, there lived a young woman named Maria. Maria was a talented cook, and she loved nothing more than to spend her days in the kitchen, creating delicious dishes for her family and friends. One day, Maria decided to enter a cooking competition in the nearby city. She had been working on a special recipe for months, and she was confident that she could win. On the day of the competition, Maria arrived early and set up her station. She carefully measured and prepared her ingredients, and then she began to cook. Maria's dish was a complex and intricate one, but she executed it flawlessly. The judges were impressed by her skill and creativity, and they unanimously awarded her the first prize. Maria was overjoyed, and her victory made her a local celebrity. After the competition, Maria was approached by a wealthy businessman who offered her a job as his private chef. The businessman was a renowned connoisseur of food, and he was eager to taste Maria's creations. Maria accepted the job, and she soon moved to the city to begin her new life. In her new role, Maria had access to the finest ingredients and the most state-of-the-art kitchen equipment. She created exquisite dishes for the businessman and his guests, and she quickly became known as one of the best chefs in the city. One day, the businessman received an invitation to host a dinner party for the president of the country. Maria was tasked with creating the menu, and she knew that she had to create something truly special. She spent weeks planning and preparing for the event, and on the night of the dinner party, she presented the president and his guests with a feast fit for royalty. The president was so impressed with Maria's cooking that he offered her a job as the head chef of the presidential palace. Maria was honored by the offer, and she accepted it without hesitation. In her new role, Maria was responsible for cooking for the president and his guests, as well as for the staff of the presidential palace. She created menus that were both delicious and nutritious, and she ensured that the food was prepared to the highest standards. Maria loved her job as the presidential chef, and she took great pride in her work. She was known for her creativity and her ability to create dishes that were both beautiful and delicious. She was also known for her kindness and her compassion, and she treated everyone with respect, regardless of their social status. One day, Maria received a letter from a young girl who lived in a remote village in the mountains. The girl wrote that she had always dreamed of becoming a chef, but she didn't know how to get started. Maria was touched by the girl's letter, and she decided to invite her to the presidential palace to spend a day in the kitchen with her. The girl was thrilled, and she arrived at the palace early on the day of her visit. Maria showed her around the kitchen and introduced her to her staff. Then, she taught her how to make some of her signature dishes. The girl was a quick learner, and she was soon able to prepare the dishes on her own. Maria was impressed by her skill and her enthusiasm, and she knew that the girl had a bright future ahead of her. At the end of the day, Maria gave the girl a cookbook and a set of chef's knives. She also offered to help her find a job in a restaurant or hotel. The girl was grateful for Maria's help, and she promised to stay in touch. A few years later, Maria received a letter from the girl. The girl told her that she had gotten a job as a chef at a prestigious restaurant in the city. She also told her that she was now one of the most respected chefs in the country. Maria was overjoyed to hear about the girl's success. She knew that she had played a small role in helping her to achieve her dreams. Maria continued to cook for the president and his guests for many years, and she became known as one of the greatest chefs in the history of the country. Maria's story is a reminder that cooking is more than just a way to prepare food. It is a way to express creativity, to nurture loved ones, and to connect with people from all walks of life. Cooking is also a way to give back to the community and to make the world a better place.